Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on June the 12th, 2025. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, he's a star man.
A caffeine rage.
On today's show, we will be getting to our May Game Club, Juno New Origins. We will reveal to you the next Game Club game. Is Outer Worlds 2 hits $80. The director says we don't set the prices for our games and wishes everybody could play Obsidian's new RPG. And Steam, showing accessibility support to Steam users. Steam is showing accessibility support to Steam users. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Hello.
How goes it?
It goes.
That's right.
Sometimes even forward progress.
That's right. It goes. We goes to work. We goes home. We goes to bed.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being a productive adult every day is a little excessive.
Right. On my little bit that I recorded some solo stuff because we're out of Franken content. I was like, yeah, we've been working a ton, and I'm working almost 60-hour weeks right now, getting my clinic off the ground. You're working a steady 40, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before, you were not working.
I was getting well, there at the end, they cut me back to barely above 30.
Yeah.
But also, I'm traveling further for the job, so a week I'm more like 50 out of the house. Well, actually, probably like 50, 55.
Yeah.
It also depends on traffic and how quick, if I'm taking the quick route or the slow route back home. So slow route's more gas efficient, but I did not mute my phone.
That's okay.
It's more gas efficient, but it's adds to like another 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
While depending on how far I go on the interstate, basically I could skip most of the start and stop city traffic, assuming I could get on the fucking interstate, because whoever designed Corridor G, West Virginia had, or I shouldn't say the past tense because they're still doing it, has the Corridor Project, basically trying to expand the infrastructure of the state. And there's still one that they've been working on for the last 30 fucking years. And no, I'm not exaggerating. The Corridor G is the commercial hub south of Charleston. Where I work now, I'm down in there.
Yeah.
And the way they hooked it into the interstate is fucking stupid. If you're getting on or off the interstate, trying to get into Corridor G, you have probably about 400 yards to be able to get into one lane. And if you're trying to get onto the interstate, exiting it, you have about the same distance before you're forced down into the main body of Charleston. And it's a hotbed for crashes, and there's quite a few times where it'll just back up because people are trying to shuffle back and forth between these couple of lanes. Mind you, there's also a exchange between two major interstates like a quarter mile up the road. So if you're stuck in the wrong lane, you're going on a little side adventure.
Right.
Thankfully, the way I have to go home, if I'm forced that way, I could ditch out and go a different route, and it wouldn't cost me too much extra time.
Yeah.
Yes, I've actually plotted this out because it is that tricky to try to get out during heavy traffic. Uh, if I have to go that route, it's not too bad on me, but it's just annoying. It feels like they just need to like bulldoze the entire thing and start from scratch. But then again, this is also hooking into an existing interstate system that is undersized for what it needs to be, at least in going through that portion of the state already. Part of me was thinking about with what they know now and with modern technology, if you bulldoze the entire interstate system and rebuild it, how would it look? Right?
Yeah, that's an interesting thought process, actually.
I mean, the first thing I thought of was like uh, banking turns more, you know?
Oh yeah. I
No,
yes.
we're not talking like Talladega, they're practically, walls that you're running around. But uh, there's quite a few high-speed turns on the interstate where I live where, just a couple of degrees of banking would make the world of a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I'm not sure. Because I don't know how much like design complexity even just a few extra degrees would add, you know? I don't know if that would lead to some type of instability or some type
Mm-hmm.
of super increased wear.
Oh,
I don't
like
know.
the interstate's not already fucking falling apart in my state.
You're right.
Right.
Mine too, but imagine how much worse it might be, if there's a lot of extra wear that gets increased or that gets put in there. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like discount it, right? It might
Mhm.
work. It might be really good. I don't know.
But also, I'm not a structural engineer.
Right.
I don't even play one on a podcast.
I play one of those on TV. Um, yeah. I mean, I'm just fucking working. I go to work, I come home, I do work. I
Mhm.
talked to my tax man on Wednesday about what documents and things I needed to prepare. Because opening your own private practice, like they do a shitload of teaching you in school, like how to do it from a clinical side, but it is also a small business. Um,
Mhm.
you were the proprietor of a small business. Uh, so unless you just like don't give a fuck and potentially run afoul of the tax man, and like that's the one thing, like you don't mess with the money. You can do all kinds of shit, but you're not allowed to mess with the money. So they will get you if you're uh if you don't do the money right.
Mhm.
So anyways, like, I had a meeting with the tax man this week, and he's like, here's all the documents you need, and here's some things you need to be tracking and stuff to be aware of. And I took a million notes with my nice fountain pen. And they're all hanging up here on a clipboard. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff marked off. It's like, okay, done that, done that, done that. But yeah, I'm just doing like 60
Mhm.
hours a week and sleeping more because of,
Well,
of the being tired.
glad you're enjoying the pen.
Yeah, I've had to refill it another time. Like my first couple of refills, like I didn't do a good job. I just didn't fill it up all the way, I guess.
Yeah,
But
well, that has a different type of plunge or different type of filling system. Basically, you want to squeeze it slowly, release it slowly, and then do it a couple more times.
yeah,
Try to work the air out of it.
that's the thing. I was only doing it like once because
Mhm.
like, oh, it's just like a little, like a little.
Mhm.
Almost said plunger. That's wrong. Turkey baster. That's
Mhm.
what I was thinking. I was like, oh, it's like a little turkey baster, but for ink. But then I like looked. I'm like, I'm running out really fast, and everybody online was doing it 2 or 3 times. So then
Mhm.
I did that, and it lasted for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about that pen is that you really can't see how much ink you have in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy a cartridge converter and a few other things.
Hmm.
Like it's fine the way it is for now, and I've got like other things that are more important for me to like deal with.
Yeah,
But I am gonna get a cartridge converter for it.
yeah. Well, a different type of cartridge converter.
Y- yes. The one that's got like I don't know, the corkscrew thingy.
Yeah, yeah. The pilot's pins have two different types. That one came with one type. I was just saying that it is a cartridge converter already.
I got you. No, I want the one that's like the little screw thingy.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah. But that, that's just me. Just doing all that all the time. Plus all my normal stuff. Doing all my home shit. Being the manly man that I am. Gonna get to fix my steps this weekend. We've had, over the last few weeks, there have been several storms, and there was the 1 week with the tornadoes, but after the tornadoes, there were still a shitload of just like really normal, quote unquote, normal bad storms. So we've had some additional storm damage, and I get to fix my steps this weekend. I'm just going to tear them out just completely and build new steps on the side of my porch.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I like doing stuff like that.
I need to get some steps built as well, but that's low priority.
Yeah. Well, these are dangerous. They've got I don't know. I don't know if something hit them or if it's just like there's some water damage that has been seeping in that I didn't realize. But like someone stepped through one of them and broke it, and then the others are just like hanging on there. There's 4 steps. So just gonna build some new steps. Gonna go to Lowe's, get all new hardware. It's gonna be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you wanna go talk about, speaking of good times, you wanna go talk about a game that we played?
Yeah, we can talk about a game. How about that, right?
Let's do that. So, Game Club for May, we played Juno New Origin. And I guess for anybody who doesn't know, Game Club is when we intentionally play the same game at the same time for a month, or with the way that this year has worked out, for longer than a month. And then we come together and we talk about it, and we give our thoughts and feelings. And if it's a game that's like story spoilers, we'll spoil stuff. So you are welcome to play along and send in things. And even if you don't send in things, you're still welcome to play along so that you know and can judge for yourself whether or not we're idiots, which we probably are, but you can judge. So yeah, for May, we played Juno New Origins.
Also known as Simple Rockets 2.
Yes, also known as Simple Rockets 2. I didn't get to play this for as long as I would have liked. Just, again, the aforementioned 60-hour work weeks started in May. So I played, a handful of hours, about a dozen in total, smattering here, smattering there. All of my old PC, I don't have any new PC stuff to compare it to, although my old PC didn't really struggle. It is not a demanding game. I would imagine that you could build some crazy stuff, just like how in the KSP days, like if you built something that was like quote unquote simple, then any half decent machine could run it, but you could do some crazy ridiculous bullshit and it would bring the old GTX Titan to its knees.
Yeah, although less on this one. Well, there's going to be a lot of comparison with KSP and KSP2. It feels like going on a date after a nasty breakup and you're constantly comparing. Well, my old girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's put this out there right now. This is not KSP, and it doesn't have kind of the love of the wackiness that KSP had.
Yep, that's true.
It's more grounded in somewhat reality, and for that it feels drier.
Yes.
But talking about the wackiness and how yes you can, but the thing is that I keep wanting to call it Simple Rockets because I'm on their page. Juno New Horizons, they rebranded it away from Simple Rockets late in the early access period, mostly because they felt like the term simple rockets was not quite appropriate for this game, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Because the original simple rockets was a 2D, very light space sim, and this is a little bit more hardcore than that.
Yeah.
Uh, this game relies a lot on procedural parts, so it's a lot less heavy when you're building bigger stuff than KSP would be for the same, well, at scale. I mean, the scales are different, but the same complexity of craft. There's going to be less parts in Juno, most likely, just because you're using a lot more procedural parts to get there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more tweakables as well, down to like changing the shape and the material of rocket cones. And all this is kind of mysterious to me. You get to a point where the KSP knowledge kind of falls away, and it's like, okay, what the hell am I doing now? And this doesn't have the community around it that KSP did. I mean, there is a community there, and you can find some answers, but you're looking at under 20 posts a week on the subreddit.
Yeah.
Considering KSP subreddit is still going fairly strong, as far as I know. I actually need to go double check that, but it's it doesn't have the community based around it. The modding scene is more around their sharing of spacecraft, and also they have a built-in like solar system builder, and it's a sharing of that instead of like new systems like KSP mods are.
Yeah.
Where it's whenever we think of mod or modding a game, KSP is a lot closer to that than this.
Yeah. Yeah. KSP is fucking wild.
Mm-hmm.
The Wild West out there with the crazy,
there are
wacky stuff.
some things. There are some wacky shit. But it's few and far between. There's a whole 2 pages that I'm seeing. And some of these haven't been updated in literal years.
Yeah. So you're right. It's not some of the, well, okay. So the procedural parts, those were, I think, some of my favorite KSP mods, but it was for the exact reasons that you've already said. Like, they take some of the load off, because instead of there being 20 parts to make whatever thing you're doing, you can do it with 3 or 4, because one of them gets to be really big, or a couple of them get to be really big or specifically shaped. But yeah, you said drier earlier. I my first thought was boring, and then I was like, no, it's not more boring. And I couldn't think of a good word to replace it, but drier is that. It is much more serious. And it's interesting, like, because KSP, at its core, was a pretty serious, like fairly scientifically accurate rocket simulation game. But then they painted the Kerbals on, so the weird green, the weird faced green alien guys, and they made jokes about the parts manufacturers and inserted all of that stuff on top of the seriousness. So they gave it like a silly veneer, and that made KSP so much more charming and endearing. And this has got the same level of seriousness, but it lacks that tongue-in-cheek kind of motif.
Well, I think also the fact that the missions, there's this focus on if you're doing the career mode, or instead of, I'm pretty sure there's sandbox mode, but I've always just stuck with career mode.
Yeah, there's the sandbox mode, which is where I spent most of my time, actually, just because I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to wrap my head around this with my KSP knowledge. And I think it translates fairly well. The basics are there. this game has its specifics and its eccentricities, but the basic concept and that basic knowledge transfers, I think, fairly well.
Yeah, the sandbox mode, it has this real focus on little steps forward instead of, we need a suborbital flight here. Let's just strap Jeb to a solid rocket booster and go. Instead, there's a focus on actually rovers at first, driving around like the little town complex around your space center. Then you slowly progress to aircraft, and then suborbital rockets, and it makes more sense than the KSP system. But the thing is that if what happened to me before was I actually hit a state where I was in trouble because I spent too much money building up the rocket for the suborbital flights, and they weren't giving me enough money back, so I was losing my money. And there's only so many missions they give you. And there is some bonuses in the career mode where, if you like fly a certain distance, or you have a certain flight time, or explore so far, blah blah blah, you get like an additional bonus on top of everything. But you exhaust those that you could easily grab, and you start hitting issues,
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's always the same few missions. With as you progress down the tech tree, you unlock new contractors that start offering you more missions. But the thing is that it's always the same ones. Get a rover that could go so fast it's for so long, blah blah blah, right? Instead of the possibly wacky but more varied procedurally generated missions that KSP had.
Yeah.
Where we just achieved our first orbital flight. Dildo Kerman is currently stuck in orbit of Minmus. What?
Dildo Kerman. Oh.
Wouldn't be surprised if that's in the names.
It very well may be.
But anyway, we need to go save Dildo.
Dildo, no.
It makes no sense that there's a Kerbal currently in a weird orbit around Minmus. But damn it, we need to save Dildo.
We need to save him. Gotta save that Dildo boy. But yeah, I mean, I can't really speak to that since I didn't do anything with the career mode. I did, so, messing around in the sandbox mode, playing with the creation tools, building various types of rockets and airplanes. The one thing that I think that this is like head and shoulders above KSP, and this might exclusively be because of the procedural parts, but if you want to make real world craft, now there were people who did it in KSP for sure. That scene existed even using the basic parts in game, but I always really struggled to try to make anything that was based on a real aircraft. Whereas with this, like, it was pretty easy to mock up a couple of, like something that looks like the P-80 shooting star, or some early kind of Korean War era jets and things. And I was like, oh, if I mess with this long enough, I bet I could come up with an F-15. I bet I could get the F-15 or maybe the MiG-29. And I think that's pretty neat. I like aviation history. But I didn't spend enough time with it to create anything that level, But I mean, now listening to you talk about it, I kind of want to go back and try the career mode now. Play the career mode.
Yeah, the career mode, it starts you off a lot slower. Now, the problem with career mode is that there's not a great control system for yeah, gamepads.
Yeah.
So you're having to go and try to bodge that together, especially whenever you start getting to aircraft, because there's stunt flying.
Hmm.
Having to go through rings and shit,
I see.
and it really requires you to. Well, you are allowed freely to essentially revert your flight,
Right.
But if you commit to something that you wasted a lot of money on, or you didn't get enough money back, you could end up in a bad state. And also something else that's interesting is the programming language in this game. There's essentially a light mech jub where you could set up and tweak it where the craft will just fly itself. I haven't really messed around with it a terrible amount to know just how robust it is, but there is a couple tutorials online of setting up essentially a ground to orbit with that one button.
Yeah. I did not do that. I mean, not with it to that much. I messed with it a little bit, and
Mhm.
the simple basic stuff from KSP is there and easy to access, like prograde, retrograde, um, Apple apps and
Mhm.
Perry apps, and et cetera, et cetera. Like those things are all there to use pretty easily. I messed with it a smidgen, but I was like, okay, this seems like you could do a lot with it, but I'll get into that later. And then, because of real life, later never came.
Mhm.
But again, that was one of the ones that like I really liked from KSP, like MechJeb, like bringing on something like that, having it in the base game feels like a good idea to me.
I mean, not just that, but there's the option instead of trying to control with WASD to just control via virtual uh, yaw, pitch, and roll uh, indicators around your craft as well. And
I did not do that.
for rockets, it's a lot easier to be able to slowly uh, roll over for a gravity turn that way
Yeah.
than it is trying to tap it out.
Yeah. No, I did not try to do that.
But it's a nightmare trying to do aircraft like that. But there's also some extra functionality where you have, I want to say, 4 or 6 like additional controls that you can set as like toggles and stuff to for additional uh, uh, you know commands essentially. Like you could set it up where one of my rovers in my previous game, I had it set up where it's basically a cruise control
Yeah.
for some of the missions would have you go long distances, and it had to be on the ground. And the game's physics engine is good enough that as long as you're not like hitting bumps and stuff, you can go a pretty decent speed. But it costs energy to do that.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's not a KSP2.
No, it's not. How does
I
it?
think it's a fair like 1.5 if you don't mind the lack of humor.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how does it compare to KSP2 since KSP2 was such a shit show?
I mean, the thing is that KSP2 is slowly trying to get its shit together, but the thing is that it was too little, too late, and I'm still waiting for the tell all like blog post or something that like there has to be some shit that went down.
Yeah. When we get the insider story or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll find out someday,
Maybe.
probably. I mean, so if somebody's NDA is going to run out eventually, who wants to talk about it?
And
And
write a book.
yeah, maybe that would be interesting. A tell-all book about the disaster of KSP2.
And the thing is that there's a market here for uh for a lighter humor space sim. But the thing is that there's uh, it's something that you can't just ease into. It's a commitment to get the physics right. It's a commitment to get everything going, and it's not just something that an indie dev could easily do.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Sims is another good example of that. Is a life sim game. That doesn't sound too hard. Then you realize just how many animations that is, how much interaction that is with the environment.
I think, yeah, and the only game that has tried to pull it off here lately is that Inzoi, or however you say it. And that has come under a ton of controversy for how much like AI art generation it used.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the devlogs, like the reason that they say that they use so much AI art generation is because there's so much shit you've got to do to make one of these kind of games that they did that rather than hire a bigger team.
Yeah, which I'm not sure how I feel about. It's
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like, personally, I'm very anti AI tools for that kind of stuff. AI tools have a place. There are places where that they can be used, and I think it's fine. Having AI comb through massive fucking data sets, to try to do research or to try to, help answer like complex questions. Perfect use of that technology.
Mm-hmm.
But, when it comes to like creative works, I'm very anti AI. But anyways, yeah, to get back onto the topic of Juno, like I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I had a good time. Listening to you talk about career mode makes me wish that I had played some more career mode before we talked about this, but I'll probably go back and play a little bit and see what I think about it. It just doesn't grab me the same way that KSP did. And honestly, like KSP, like, yes, it's a comparison. We're making the comparison. We were always going to make the comparison. KSP feels like lightning in a bottle to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of that like is like right game, right time in my life. Some of that feels like, right game, right team, right time in the industry. Like, I don't know. It just feels like lightning in a bottle. And other games can do that sort of thing well, obviously. But I don't think anything will ever be, KSP 2 again, unless KSP 2 figures, gets their shit together all the way.
Oh, I don't think we're going to see any production, anything else for KSP 2. If we see a KSP again, which I kind of doubt at this point.
Yeah.
They're just going to abandon 2 and go to 3 or go to something else. Because the thing is that to fix the game, you're not going to get more sales, or you're not going to get sales out of people that already have it,
Yeah.
And as much as I didn't like the game for No Man's Sky, brain fart for a moment. As much as I didn't care for No Man's Sky, that's a hell of a commitment to buckle down and continue working on it, even though there's no promise that you're going to get additional sales for that.
Yeah. I mean, they've spent years working on No Man's Sky, and I don't think there's ever been any of it that's been paid for. I think that game has fully sustained itself off of just continued sales.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a new version that came out for Switch 2 that I've seen some stuff about, how that it's kind of fucked up because they somehow fucked up the mouse support. But like, like there are still people buying and playing that game today. Like 10 years? Has it been 10 years since No Man's Sky came out? 9 years? Oh my God. Hang on. 2016. God fucking damn it. 9 years since that game came out. Oh, I'm having a little bit of a crisis right now. Oh. Okay. Crisis over. That's a game I should install on my PC and see how it runs. Because No Man's Sky was so badly fucking optimized. Even my old gaming rig, which was, contemporary with when this game came out. Fucking like ate shit all the time on it. Pull Steam up. No Man's Sky. Install. Install. Yes. Just get that going in the background. I had to, last time I tried playing No Man's Sky, I had to fucking use a save file editor because of some glitch that existed in the current build where it's like you couldn't complete the tutorial if one of the items you needed spawned inside the ground because you didn't have your tool yet to dig up the ground. So I had to get a save file editor to edit the thing into my inventory. But anyways, that's a digression. Yeah, Juno New Origins. I mean, it feels like a pretty solid like B+ to me. It is almost exclusively, or maybe it is exclusively. Like I don't know if there's any story to it in the career other than just like story of your progression.
There's some like lore about the companies and talking to you actually talk to essentially the CEO of each company, but it's nothing that stands out to me. It's nothing like KSP does.
Yeah, I gotcha. So yeah, then it's basically almost exclusively a mechanics, gameplay driven game. And I think it does a pretty good job at that. It feels pretty solid to me. There's a ton of depth there. It's easy to get into, relatively speaking. I mean, it is rocket science after all, but relatively speaking, it's easy to get into. And it seems like there's a shitload there for you to sort of work on and master. So, thumbs up, multiple thumbs up. I approve. What about you? Any other thoughts, additional thoughts, different rating?
No, I think B+ is a fair rating for it. I think it could use a little bit more tutorial, especially when you start getting off into the weeds of, like, well, now you're changing to different fuels, you're changing how the rocket cones work, you're changing. I think there's some material changing as well, and I'm not sure if that's just cosmetic or if that actually does something. The tutorial, the career mode does have some tutorial for it. It has some basic stuff going on, but once you get off into the weeds, you're kind of left on your own, and it doesn't have the community support that KSP did. Where you don't have a Scott Manley explaining, when to do your Homeland transfer to get to Minmus or get to the Mun. Or explain the proper launch windows for different, planetary transfers.
Yeah.
While you could figure it out on your own, once again, you're just left there, kind of spinning and trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
it feels like it feels like they were counting on a little bit more community support.
Yeah. Scott Manley did do some content for Juno. Like, he did do a few videos on it, but nowhere near the level of KSP. Like,
yeah.
And, I mean, at this point, like, Scott Manley is at a different stage in his life, too. I don't know if you've watched any of his content recently, like, or more recently.
He's more just general space, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's doing different stuff. All his family's older. He spends more time with his family, which is totally understandable. Like, I don't think he's like turned into a horrible person or anything.
And may I add, I fucking hate the new YouTube home screen.
You may add. You may.
Because oh my god, it feels like it's made for like a console or a TV that's across the room instead of a computer.
Yep. You are correct. Those tiles are way too fucking big. I hate it. There's no middle ground, though. I don't like the list view either. But I mean, I think you're right. Because I think YouTube has probably played as much, if not more, on TV screens at this point. Just because YouTube is on every single fucking smart everything ever. We watch YouTube on my TV here in the living room. Like me and my kid, like that's where we watch stuff together.
Yeah, plus it's a lot harder to ad block on a TV.
That's true. That is true. But Yeah. So anyways, next Game Club game. Our next Game Club game for June question mark uh is Grand Theft Auto 5. It's been given away multiple times. It's been on sale multiple times. I've played GTA 5 quite a bit in the past, and up until, you started playing for Game Club, I think you said you had never played it.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we're going to be getting into next time, GTA 5. If you don't have it, dear listener, is it on Game Pass? It's not on Game Pass, is it?
I think it might have gone back on Game Pass.
Oh,
It's
let me
been
look.
on Game Pass and left Game Pass multiple times.
Yeah. Ooh, Grand Theft Auto 5 is on Game Pass right now. So if you have Game Pass, you can play it there. It's been given away on the Epic Store at least once, maybe twice. It's on.
Are you sure you don't want to play Barbie Project Friends? Or
I mean,
Friendship?
listen, I would play Barbie Project Friendship. I am not. Oh, No Man's Sky is ready to play. I am not opposed to playing Barbie Project Friendship.
I haven't actually loaded up Game Pass in a while, so I'm looking at what's come out and may have to load up some Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the demo, but
I check Game Pass every so often. Usually, if I'm doing something on Game Pass, it's something that I'm playing with my kid. I have gotten him into SnowRunner. He started playing that some, and once he gets through the tutorial space, I'm gonna join him and fuck with him. Let's be honest, I'm gonna fuck with him while he's trying to do stuff. I'll help him also too, but I'm gonna fuck with him. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I kind of wish that SnowRunner had cloud saves.
Yeah.
Or at least the Microsoft Store version.
It kind of does, but it also doesn't work half the time for reasons that I don't understand. It's not reliable, or at least it wasn't in the past. And it's weird, and I don't know how to explain why it didn't work. But, yeah. I'm going to try to see how many syllables I can make the word dad have. Dad! Stop! And I would only ever do that to my child. I would never mess with anybody else like that. But my kid, no. I'm fucking with you. So, but anyways, yeah. GTA 5 for the next Game Club. So, moving on to a couple of news topics, because I'm looking at the time, and 6 a.m. comes early for me. Are you working tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm working tomorrow, but it's not 6
a.m. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. You said that earlier. You're going in a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm not a chicken bitch tomorrow.
Yay. All right.
Although I will say that being chicken bitch so often, definitely feeling the wear and tear.
Yeah. So, the first news topic of the night. As The Outer Worlds 2 hits $80, director says we don't set prices for our games and wishes everybody could play Obsidian's new RPG.
Fucking thank Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's not Nintendo saying the price, but Nintendo set the price.
It seems like the games industry collectively decided, all right, we're going to raise prices again. Because $60 was the quote unquote base game price for years and years and years and years, and $60 I think is still too expensive.
At least for the quality of games we're getting these days.
For the quality, yeah, I would happily pay $80 or $100 for a game that came out feature complete, in good working order. I mean, I wouldn't expect perfection on the bug front. Like, I don't think it's possible to release a game with 0 bugs, but functional, feature complete, and that wasn't loaded down with microtransactions and any kind of predatory bullshit.
Yeah, but how are we going to get the whales then?
That's the beauty. You don't. You just make good games that people want to buy, and that's how you support your business.
Bleh.
But
Gotta double, triple down.
yeah, those days in the quote unquote AAA games industry are gone, and they have been for, I don't know, 10 years, give or take. And I don't think they're ever coming back unless there happens to be some other kind of games industry collapse, which I don't think that that's coming. Like video games, the video game industry is like one of the biggest industries on the planet once you get past like oil, and like steel manufacturing, like it's, I think, the second largest entertainment industry in the world. But like it's definitely in the top three, like a serious contender in the top three. Because it's been like film, print and music for forever. But I mean, video games, I think it's in the top three. I think video games at the very least has surpassed, print media, print entertainment, books, magazines, etc. I mean, part of that's, the internet also, but, the games industry is as big as the film industry. Now I'm going to Google.
Looks like video games is actually the biggest.
Okay, well there you go. Like those days, like a video game crash is not coming. Like at least a meaningful industry crash. There might be little things here or there that shift and change and break and whatnot. But so we're like,
I do wonder how much the mobile game industry is part of this, where it's all the little gotcha games and tons of microtransactions.
Right. Well, I mean, the mobile game industry is the biggest offender for this.
Mm-hmm.
But like the good old days, quote unquote, they're never coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And fair enough. I've got my indie games. I've got my older games that I own. I've got piracy. I've got emulation. I'm fine. And I'm not 100% immune. Technology does still change over time, but I'm pretty immune to most of the things that like drives the gaming industry forward these days anyways. Like I built a new machine, and rather than upgrading quote unquote from 1080p to 1440 or 4K, I got an ultra high refresh rate monitor and stayed at 1080p. So like I don't give a shit what your games look like. I stuck to my guns on that one. So,
and me, most of my gaming these days is on the Steam Deck.
Right. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, you were like, I feel like we got to mention the Switch, but I don't really want to talk about the Switch, and neither did I. And I don't have one. And
it's so fucking expensive for what it is.
Yeah,
it's basically the Switch 2 is basically the Switch over again, only with more modern hardware.
Yeah.
And a few quality of life adjustments. And adding like $20 to the game prices.
Yeah.
And Nintendo is notorious about not lowering the price of their games. I mean, shit. I look for a couple Switch games and used... these are games that from like the beginning of the Switch 1's life cycle are still like $20-$30.
Yeah.
And if you get them digitally, it's still full price. It's still $60-$70. And now Nintendo's getting to the point where it's, they're double and triple dipping.
Yep.
With their upgrade packs and everything else. Although I will say that they are releasing some for free. But if there's any significant like alterations to the game, $10-$20.
Yeah. Yeah, Switch is, like it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Switch 2 looks fine. I mean, I'm gonna do with the Switch 2 what I did with the Switch 1, which is I'm just gonna ignore it for, I don't know, several years, and then buy a secondhand Switch 2 of some variety. If they do the Switch 2 Lite thing, I might go with that. I might get a full fat Switch 2. I don't know.
I think
But
it really
like,
depends on just how much they double down on mouse mode for
yeah,
if they'll do a light version of it.
yeah.
I know exactly how it's going to play out here. Pretty much as soon as a Pokemon game comes out, Indeed is going to go wild.
Yeah. And there'll be one, and that's fine. But
Hmm.
I just don't care about the Switch 2 right now. I also never got my email about pre-ordering one, so I did not make the pre-order list, which is fine. I
Hmm.
wasn't gonna pre-order one because I'm not interested. Um, but yeah, $80 games. The Switch is notorious for prices of games not coming down and having really bad sales. Um,
And now the game industry is like, hey,
yeah, they're like, hey, we can do this. We can copy this one weird trick. So yeah, just game prices are higher now. It is what it is. If you're someone, and I'd imagine, like, if you're listening to this show, you're someone who shops the Steam sales for the most part. You also emulate. Maybe you do a little raise in the Jolly Roger. You might buy a new game here or there. And like I'm guilty of buying a new game here or there. But although the new games that I buy tend to be indie games, it's like an indie game I followed for a long time and I wait for it to release and then I buy it.
hmm.
I don't know when the last time I bought a new quote unquote AAA title was. Like I bought Armored Core 6 during the last Steam sale. I think that's the newest game that I own. I don't remember when Baldur's Gate 3 came out in comparison to it, but those are like the two newest games that I own. And I was gifted Baldur's Gate 3, so I didn't even buy that. And then, buying Armored Core 6, like I bought it on sale for like $15.
Yeah, I
So,
wonder if there's a way to sort my Steam library by. I probably got to go to a third party site by release date.
yeah, I don't. Oh. Yeah, I don't see that in the default options.
Hmm.
So you'd have to use a third party
Hmm.
thing. I'm looking because I have the Steam
Hmm.
enhanced or augmented or whatever it's called. I'm looking to see if that's one of the options to sort all my games. I don't see that though as an option.
I'm on Steam DB, and it allows you to sort by release date.
Okay.
So it depends on how we define like early access stuff.
I'm signing into Steam DB. My games. Oh god, I have stuff in here that does not have a release date listed. Um see, the newest game that I own, I did buy that. I did. Victory at Sea Atlantic. I bought that in April or maybe May, and it released this year. But that is a indie game, a double A game at
Mhm.
best. This is an early access game that just released out of
Yeah,
early access. So,
Trash Goblin, which I think his cuteness sent me for Christmas. Then the enhanced edition of Stalker Shadows of Chernobyl.
yeah, Satisfactory technically just released at the end of last year, but I think early access doesn't count because of because I've had Satisfactory since like 2018.
Mm. Uh, Locomoto released in April.
Yeah, I bought that for me, you, and another friend of mine.
That's an early access game that recently went to its full release. That I'm still playing on and off here and there. So your options are Trash Goblin, Locomoto, or technically Grand Theft Auto Enhanced.
Yeah. So I have Victory at Sea as like a clear, like I bought this game when it released this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Locomoto. And then the next newest game that I bought or that I own released in 20. Okay, Balatro. You got me Balatro.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
released
Enjoy your
last year.
crack.
Railroader released
Shadows
in
of
2023.
Shadows of Doubt is a contender for me. Because that was early access, but it went to its full release.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff that released in 2022 and 2021. Baldur's Gate released in 2023, August
Mm-hmm.
2023. Armored Core 6 was also August of 2023.
You can also make uh, an argument for UFO 50. I didn't realize it was so soon after release that I got it. Pretty sure it was on sale at the time, though.
Yep. I bought Phantom Brigade pretty close to release a
Mm-hmm.
couple years ago. I should play that game some more.
I've been meaning to pick it up for myself, but just here's one that's a good. Okay, I have mine that it's not like early access that it just happened to release, or a game that I got accidentally close to release. Here's the last game I got because it released. I'm not sure if it's still early access. Let me double check that. No, it's not. It's full release. Uh, Kid Hack Model Club,
Oh yeah, I remember when you got that.
and I've played a fair bit of it. So I think that's like my big contender. But once again, we're looking at indie games.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically GTA Enhanced would be my AAA game because I bought GTA when it was on deep discount after Enhanced came out, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All this is it's just yeah, I don't really buy new games all that much anymore. I buy a
Mhm.
few, and the ones that I do buy, I get them on sale for the most part, or they are indie titles, or at most double A titles. So I'm pretty immune to this pricing injustice.
Mhm.
But yeah. So are you ready to move on to a somewhat somewhat positive news story? There we go. Not somewhat, a positive news story.
Yeah, and we're
Sweet.
still on Steam too.
We are. Steam is now showing accessibility support to Steam users. Players can search for games based on accessibility support. This posted today, actually,
Mhm.
earlier in the day, around lunchtime. Well, I guess it was on there in. No, it posted at 12:41 um, Eastern time. So lunchtime today. Um, you're going to be able to search in the store for accessibility options. And I don't know if this is the full list. The ones that they show off are you can search by adjustable difficulty, save any time, adjustable text size, subtitle options, color alternatives, camera comfort, which I assume color alternatives is for like color blindness, custom volume, sound, narrated game menus, playable without timed input, and then input options, keyboard, mouse, touch, uh, speech to text, and text to speech options. Those are ones that they've got listed. And this is like just objectively a good thing.
Mhm.
I hope that there are actually more ways to break down these options, break down the categories. I am not someone who needs accessibility features other than like, difficulty options and things like that, but I listen to the Podquisition, the James Stephanie Sterling's gaming podcast, which has a person on there who does Laura Kate Dale, who does coverage about accessibility in the video games industry. And so I've heard many, many, many conversations over the years talking about like specific accessibility options and accessibility features. And like there's a lot more here. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Steam. Like, this is a great start. And, you know, I don't know if these are all of the features they have anyways, but hopefully.
Well, the system is live.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It said it's live today. So
Oh, I missed that.
I'm looking. There are about features, additional high quality audio. That some of these are old Steam features that are mixed in as well. So like Steam achievements, tracked controller support, Steam trading cards, captions available. Steam Workshop, Steam VR compatible, adjustable text size, camera comfort, chat speech to text, chat speech to text, or sorry, text to speech, color alternatives, a custom volume, adjustable difficulty, keyboard only option, mouse only option, narrated game menus, timed with playable without timed inputs, save anytime, subtitle options, surround sound, touch only options, cloud support, includes source SDK, remote play on phone, tablet, TV, remote play together, HDR, family sharing, and Steam Timeline. Am I missing something on Steam Timeline?
I have no idea. Maybe. I don't use this Steam timeline thing.
I don't know what Steam Timeline is.
Isn't it in your profile?
Oh.
Hang on.
And it has different controller supports now.
Oh no, it's not on my profile. Okay, that's I don't know what. Then yeah, I don't know what Steam timeline is. Okay, so there's a few.
Well, I was researching Steam Timeline, a feature in Steam that allows developers to mark key game moments in their games with custom icons, enabling users to easily find and share those moments. Basically, that's their custom recording system. I completely forgot it was named Steam Timeline.
I did too. That's nice though.
Anyway, you were saying?
Oh, but yeah, so there's a few more options, which is good. Like to see that. More options is pretty much always preferable to less options. But it's a very good start, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with further implementation of this tool. I hope they don't just abandon it. You know.
Well, that's the thing is that Steam is good about iterating their systems where they'll take community feedback and continue improving. So I expect this just to get better and get better options.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. Ultimately, I do too. So, sorry, I'm reading over this a little bit more, just for any other useful features or anything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't have anything else to add. I don't think. Just looking at this, like reading over the rest of the article.
It's just a nice, thing to end the show on. Really,
it is a nice, positive thing to end the show on. Yes, we don't get as many of those, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna end the show on this nice, positive note. Hey, Rage, how can people get in contact with you or with us if they'd like to do so?
Well, you could get a hold of me on Steam because that's about my only online presence. Because social media sucks, right?
Social media does suck.
If you wish to contact the show, though, you could also send an email to the email account, VGL at gmail.com. Where can they find you?
Find me on our Discord. I have a Blue Sky, but I mean, Blue Sky has also kind of started to get a little overwhelming with like a whole bunch of sad world politics and news. And I like to have little.
It sucks to be informed, doesn't it?
It does. It does suck to be informed. So, I would like to be able to have some places where I can, not have to deal with that. So if you really want to get in touch with me on Blue Sky, I mean, I'm at JMA4707 on Blue Sky Social. But I don't go there very much right now. So mostly just on Discord. I mean, I guess if you have listened to the show and you want counseling and you've never really interacted with me in any other way, you can do that. You can look at me up on Psychology Today. I guess you could do that if you just want to know what I look like. I'm not very attractive, but you know, if you want to, you can check me out.
My
But yeah, that's me. That's where you can find me and my stuff and my things. Yeah. I forgot what I'm supposed to say next.
So
Is that
VGL podcast at gmail.com with her with the I've had a long day, what can I say?
right?
With gaming related news topics. If you want to just say hi, let us know you're still alive out there. You could also, well, we don't really check the Twitter anymore because first of all, it's not Twitter anymore, and second of all, well, Elon Musk sucks. I'm not buying the bullshit theater.
Nope. Fuck you, Elon Musk.
But you can drop by the Discord. You can find a link to that at the top of our podcast page, which also has the show notes. VGL podcast at Podbean or VGLpodcast.podbean.com. And yeah, we're very professional tonight, huh? Very tired, right?
We're tired and we're off our game. We haven't been able to record in several weeks just because life stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, the good news is I'm available next week.
I think I am too. Tuesday or Thursday?
I'm just double checking my schedule. It'll be Thursday, but I'll be late again.
Okay.
The thing is, I'm not going to have to rush out to go to bed. So there's that, which is nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, our patrons have made this very, very professional mess possible. VGL podcast, our patreon.com/VGL podcast. And on the ground by Kim McCloy, you can find his work over at Incompetech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.